What's up, coaches? Today I want to talk to you about communication, getting the best for yourself with communication with others, as well as how to interact with people to get and have the best first impressions possible. And as well as just getting the best from people that you interact with on a daily basis, and how to communicate with them efficiently, effectively, and get what you want from the interaction. Because when we communicate with people, we're always in it for ourselves if we actually think about it. So what is it that we're in for ourselves? Maybe if we're talking to a potential client, we're in it for ourselves because we know that our impact can actually help someone. If we're talking to someone else about the movie we want to see, we want to communicate in a way that allows them or pulls them to want to do what we want to do. So first, let's start by your first interaction. Okay, so first interaction is key. You've probably heard that you have about 5 seconds to make a good first impression, and that is true. You have 5 seconds to make a good first impression with an individual. If you mess up your first interaction with an individual, it will take 7 more meetings before you have rebuilt back to the level that you could have had when you first met with the individual. So why is it important to have a good first impression? Because it takes a lot of fucking work to do 7 meetings with people to get back to that same level. So it's important and imperative to come off authentic and enthusiastic and like you care. Okay, so first, 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds to make a good first impression. 2, you then, if not made a good first impression, will take 7 meetings more to follow that up and regain the good first impression. Now from there, inside of communication, we have the words we say, the tone at which we say it, and the body language that follows suit. Okay, but when it comes to communication, sorry guys, I'm sweating because I just worked out. When it comes to communication, it's about 45% of your communication comes from the tone at which you speak. For another 45% of the communication you have comes from body language, and only about 10% of the communication that comes across is the words. So what does this mean? If I'm saying all the right words and I'm like, oh yeah, you're just so awesome, you're the greatest person in the world, but I'm saying it with a mean RBF face, resting bitch face, or RAF, resting asshole face in my case, you will actually take down the words that you say because of the tone or the body language behind it. So 45% of your interaction comes from your tone, right? How's your tonality towards that individual, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Then you have your body language. Are you shelling off? Are you too boisterous for them? Are you too low for them? Basically energy levels. And then 10% comes from your words. So we won't really talk about the words. The words are very, very easy. What I want to talk to you guys about is the body language and the tonality. So first, let's talk tonality. Tonality is key when you're communicating with people. What you may have found inside of coaching is that some people respond really, really well to you, and other people don't respond so well. The reason that this happens is because you're matching the person that responds well to you with the tonality that suits them. And if you're not matching with someone, it's because their tonality is not the same as where you're at. What do I mean by tonality? Well, the way you speak, the levels at which you speak at, tone, like loudness, softness, the way you phrase, or so, you know, if someone's very shy and I come in very, very excited, that we're going to be on 2 different levels. So a great communicator is able to adjust themselves to fit the need of that individual that they're communicating with. That is why you'll see master communicators changing their levels, pitches, tones, word framing, phrases, and stuff like that. So tone, best thing you can do within tone is trying to match the tone at which the person you're speaking with. So if you guys all know me, and I'm a very, very loud individual. I coach loud, I don't need a mic, and I talk very loud. However, if I meet with someone that's a little shyer or more reserved, my tonality will change. I will start to match and mirror the tonality of that individual. So if they're soft-spoken, I become soft-spoken. If they're slower with their words, I'm slower with my words. If they're a louder individual, I'm going to be louder. If they're fast, I'm going to be fast. I'm going to match them a little bit better, right? So I'm trying to match and mirror where they're at, because to match and mirror aligns with their best way of communication. Remember, you have 3 ways of coaching in general. So this is kind of a recap of some past stuff, but you have visual, you have verbal, and you have So you have, you have visual, you have verbal, and then you have kinesthetic, so feeling, right? So inside of that, we know that we can coach in one of three ways. If someone's not understanding what we're saying, we're going to show them. If they're not understanding how we're showing them, we're going to make them feel. So the same thing happens with communication. We find the way that best interprets their way of communication. So we match and mirror their tonality, okay? So tonality is key. Now, the other thing about tonality is you always want to set yourself higher than the individual and then come to their level. What you don't want to do is set a low pace and then find out that they're way up here, because it is very hard for you to move back up. It is easy for you to move down, but it's hard for you to move up to meet them. Okay? You have to be above them and then come down to their level. Because the other thing about great coaching is that you move others up. So if you're up here and they're down here, I will come down to their level to match and mirror them, and then I will slowly bring them back up to the level that I was, okay? So, tonality, matching and mirroring their tone, their speed, even sometimes their word choices. From there, body language. Body language is key, and we oftentimes don't realize how much of our body language actually impacts the interaction with other people. For instance, if I am like this, you won't know this unless you know body language, but by going like this, so if you guys can't see, closing my arms in front of my body will actually close me off to the individual that I'm communicating with. So if I'm sitting here or standing there with my arms crossed, they will then match that, and their body language will then become more shut off and allow them to be less responsive. So when we do body language, we also want to match and mirror. We want to match and mirror. If we're sitting at a desk with someone and they're leaning back, you'll lean back just a little bit. If they lean forward, you lean forward. If someone's talking to you at a slight angle, you'll position your body at a slight angle. Inside of the body language, though, we want to hold about a 75% eye contact. Now, I have a little trick because I like to look at eyes, but I actually prefer looking at teeth because teeth are important to me. For some reason, I tend to look right here. Now, this makes it look like I'm always making eye contact with everybody, but really I'm just looking at their teeth, okay? I don't know why I do it, but it's how I get away with sneaking past the eye contact. But you will want to hold about 75% eye contact. You want to match your body language to that person's body language. Closing off, shutting off. But also remember, if you're communicating with someone and you're shut off, your message is not going to come off as warm or welcome. So imagine you were meeting your best friend. How would you communicate and be open with them versus the person that you're upset with? You have two different kind of tenseness or body positions that you would go through. So when we're communicating, we want to make sure that we're focusing on the tonality. For about 45% of the importance of our communication is through tonality. 45% of it comes from body language, and only about 10% comes from the words. But you still have to be a master of the words that you do say when you do speak. Leaving off of that, though, when you are talking in regards to words, the people are looking for three things. They're looking for the sharpness in which you speak. So are you clear and concise about the way that you communicate information, or are you stumbling and fumbling over yourself? Right? Then, do you have enthusiasm behind what you're saying? Because if you're trying to sell someone, persuade someone, or get someone to do something you want, which is persuasion, you have to be enthusiastic behind it. I don't think you're going to be able to communicate or convince someone to go help you take out the trash if you're like, I fucking gotta take out the trash. Want to come help me take out the trash? No, they're not going to do that. So you have to be enthusiastic behind it. You have to have enthusiasm behind it. And then from there, you need to be an expert in your field. What expert in your field means for most individuals is that you stand or know or are more knowledgeable than the people that you're trying to help. That's all expert in your field means, is that you are helping people that know less than you do. Okay? So let's recap all this real quick in under a minute. First, you have 5 seconds to make a great introduction within an individual. You have 5 seconds to set the tone and have a great first impression. If you mess up your first impression with the individual inside that first 5 seconds, you will have to make that up by having about 7 more interactions or meetings with that individual to recap and bring back up to the level that you could have potentially had. From there, your communication is based off 45% tone, 45% body language, and 10% of words. From there, when you're communicating, you want to make sure that you're feeling and vibing off of their tone and mirroring and matching their tone as well as body language, but also showing basically enthusiasm, but also energy towards them, right? You want to also be above them so that way you can mirror and match down at their level and bring them up higher. From there, you want to focus on being sharp, clear and concise. You want to focus on being enthusiastic or have enthusiasm behind what you're speaking about, and then focus on being an expert or being persuasive, or show yourself as an expert in the field. That's it, guys. Short 10-minute video on how to get better reactions from people that you experience, work with, talk with, or chat with, or try and persuade. From there, make sure that you set really, really great first impressions. That's the game changer. If you can do great first impressions, you'll change a lot more lives, you'll help a lot more people, and you'll be able to impact a lot more people, because you're going to have better first impressions, which make people want to stay, train, and work with you or interact with you in other ways. It also makes it so that you're more trustworthy and someone that they are actually going to respond with, want to follow, want to listen to, and want to get advice from. So take care.